everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sabrina and I'm back with another Excel tutorial for you. Now, if this is your first time here and you're looking to develop your Excel skills, then start now by subscribing and hitting that bell icon so that you don't miss out on any new updates. Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can create a combo or combination chart in Excel. So a combo chart is basically where you can combine two or more charts to show different kinds of information. So for example, if you look at my spreadsheet here, you can see that I've got a table of data where I've got a list of all of the months, okay? And then for each month, you can see the number of bicycles sold and the average price in each month. Okay, so I've got two types of information here. I've got the number of bicycles sold in each month, and then I've also got the average price of each bicycle in each month. So there are two different types of information which I can basically combine into one chart. Okay, so in this example, what I could do is I could use a line chart to display the average price. And then I could combine that with a column chart, which could show me the number of bicycles sold in each month. So it would combine both the line chart and the column chart into one. All right, so let me show you how you would do that. So you would first, of course, select the data that you want to transfer into a combo chart. So I'm just going to highlight my data like so. Okay, and remember you want to highlight your headings as well. Okay. You would then go up to the Insert tab. Then you want to go to the Charts group, okay? And of course, you've got a list of different charts here, which you can choose from, but the one that we want to choose is a combo chart, and that's the last option there. Okay, so it's the one where you can see a column chart with a line graph over it. So if you click on the drop down on the right of that, now, when you hover your mouse, it tells you instantly that this is a combo chart. So you can click on the drop down arrow, and then it's just a case of selecting the one that you prefer. So I'm just going to go for the first one. And if I hover my mouse over the first one, this is a clustered column and a line chart. Okay, and it tells you that you can use this chart to highlight different types of information. So once you hover your mouse over that chart, you'll see a preview of that chart on your spreadsheet with your data. So you can see that already there. And that's the one that I'm going to use in this video. So you would just click on that option there, and that will transfer your data into the combo chart, okay, and input that chart into your spreadsheet. All right. So I'm just going to resize this chart now. So I'm just going to go to one of the corners of this chart. So just hover my mouse over one of the corner of the chart until I see a double white arrow. And then I'm just going to press and hold my mouse and just drag my mouse to make the chart bigger. Like so. Okay, so I'm just going to make that a bit bigger. Okay, so that's basically it. That's my combo chart there. So you can see I've got a column chart, a clustered column chart, and I've also got a line graph just above it. Okay, so my column chart is displaying the number of bicycles sold in each month, right? And you can see my horizontal axis displaying the months. And then my line graph here, my line chart is displaying the average price of each month. Okay, so I can see both types of information. Right, so I'm now going to just run through how to, change the chart elements, how to add and remove chart elements, how to change the chart style and the color, and how to filter the chart. Okay, so what you would do first is you would click on the chart area, and that will show you three options on the right hand side. Okay, so the first one is basically a green cross, okay, which is your chart elements. So when you click on the green cross, you will see a list of different chart elements that you can play around with. And the first one is axes, okay, which is currently ticked. So axes are basically, it's the horizontal axes here, okay, where you can see the months displayed, and you have the vertical axes on the left where you can see the figures displayed. Okay, so these figures are telling me sort of will help me read the average price and the number of bicycles sold for each of the months. Okay, so those are my axes. Now, if I removed my axes, if I unticked axes, all that would do is it will just literally remove my horizontal and my vertical axes. Now, that's not really helpful because I can't read my data now. So axes is useful to have. But what you could do is you do have an option of data labels. Okay, so if you go back to the chart elements, you'll see that fourth one down is called data labels. So if you tick data labels, that will put the values, okay, just above your columns, okay, and just above your points on your line graph. Okay, so that is a way to read your data, but as you can see, it's a bit messy. It looks quite messy because I've got two types of charts on this one chart area. So I'm going to untick data labels. Okay, so I'm going to remove them and I'm going to tick axes because that looks much better for me. Okay, so it's as per your preference. You can add and remove chart elements as you like. Okay, so those are your axes. You also have an option to add axes titles, right? So if you tick axes titles, it literally just puts a text box at the bottom of your horizontal axes and on the left of your vertical axes, and then you can, put a title there. So for example, for my horizontal axes, okay, I know my horizontal axis is displaying the months, so your title can just be months, okay? It just needs to describe what that axis is showing you, okay? So I'm just going to close this format axis title box on the right. So months, and then my vertical axis, again, I can just change the title of that and make it descriptive. So I can see here my vertical axis in effect displaying two types of information. It's showing me, the number of bicycles sold, but also the average price for each bicycle. So in this case, what I could do is I could maybe remove the vertical axis title. I probably don't need that there because the figures are self-explanatory. So if you wanted to remove one of the axes title and leave the other, okay, what you could do is, let me just close this box again. You would click into the chart area, you would go back to the green cross. Okay, so you click on the green cross. And then in chart elements, you want to go down to axes titles. Okay, you would then click on the arrow on the right, and then you'll see two options, primary horizontal and primary vertical. So you would just simply untick the axes title that you don't want. So in my case, I want to remove the axes title for the vertical axes, right? So you would untick that. And there you go. You can see that on the left now, on my vertical axis, the title has been removed. So I only have a title for my horizontal axis, which is what I want. Okay, so that's the axes titles. The third one down is a chart title, which is ticked. Okay, so you've got the chart title just above the chart there, which you can change. So you can just simply double click into the chart title text box. You can highlight the text and then you can rename the chart title. So I'm just going to rename that to bicycle sales per month. Okay. So you can change the title, the chart title, you can highlight the text, you can go up to the home tab, okay, and format the font. So you can make the font bold, you can underline it, you can change the font style, or even increase the font size. Okay, so I'll just increase that to 16. You can even change the font color. Okay, so you can format the font as you wish. All right, so that was the chart title. If we click into the chart area again and go to the green cross, we already went through data labels, okay? Data table will simply put a table at the bottom of your chart, okay, like so, and it will display all the values for each month. All right, so you can see I have a row there for the number of bicycles sold, and then the row at the bottom is the average price. So it's literally just displaying the values for each month. Okay, now that's again up to you. You can have that there visible so that it's easy to read. And if you don't want it, if you just want to read the values from the graph, okay, using the axes on the left, you can untick data table, okay? But I'll leave it in there. So we'll have the data table there. And the next one is grid lines. Okay, grid lines is basically these gray lines that you see on the chart area, which is useful to have when you want to read your data, okay, when you want to read your chart. So I like having grid lines, which is why it's ticked. Okay, but what you can do is you can add minor grid lines as well to make your chart easier to read. So what I mean by that is when you add minor grid lines, it will literally add small lines in between, you know, the major ones. So what you would do is if you go to the grid lines, okay, if you click on the arrow on the right, you get a few options here. So you have, if you look at the last two options, you have primary minor horizontal grid lines and primary minor vertical grid lines. So we want horizontal lines, right? So you would tick primary minor horizontal. And what you'll see is, if you look at your chart area now, you'll see, you know, there are more minor grid lines added into your chart area. Okay. So that can now help you read your graph easily, okay? So that's what minor grid lines are for. Okay, let's just go back to the green cross again. The next one, the next element is the legend, which is ticked. So the legend is basically at the bottom of your chart. So the legend basically tells you, you know, what each chart represents. So it's telling me that blue, so my columns, is representing the number of bicycles sold, and the orange, so the line chart, is representing the average price of each cycle. Okay, so that's the legend. It's good to have the legend on the chart so that you know what each chart represents. You can position the legend in a different place on the chart. So if you go to the legend option there and click on the arrow on the right, you can put the legend towards the right of the chart. You can place it at the top. You can put it on the left-hand side, or you can just leave it at the bottom like it was before. Okay. And then the last option in chart elements was the trend line. Okay, so you can add a trend line if you want. Currently it's unticked, but if you tick it, that will just add a trend line. Now, because we have two types of information being displayed in this chart, you can specify which information you want to display a trend line for. So if you wanted to display a trend line, say for the number of bicycles sold, you would select that, you click OK, and you'll then see like a dotted blue line, okay, on your chart area. So this is a trend line showing me the pattern or the direction that my data is going in. Okay, so I can see that it's a straight diagonal line, so it's basically increasing. The number of sales are basically increasing as the time has gone by. Okay, so it's a steady increase. Okay, so that was the chart elements. The next one, the next option is your chart styles. Okay, so on the left, you will see different options for different chart styles. So you can literally hover your mouse over each one and see a preview and go for the one that you prefer. Okay, so there are quite a few options here to go for. So you can select the style that you want. So this one here is basically giving you a black background. Okay. So you would select the style that you want. You can also change the color. So if you click on color at the top, you can go for a different combination of colors. So, you can hover your mouse over each combination and see a preview on the chart, and then decide which one you prefer. Okay, so you can change the color as well of your line or your columns. Okay. And then the next option on the right-hand side of your chart is the filter. So this is your chart filter, which allows you to filter your data on the chart. Okay, so what happens is when you click on the filter, you'll see the categories, which is your months, and you also see your series, okay, which is your two types of information. So you can filter your data accordingly. So say, for example, in this particular example, I only wanted to see the number of bicycles sold. Okay, I don't want to see the average price just yet. I could just untick average price. Okay, and then you would have to make sure you click on apply at the bottom to save your changes. So once you clicked apply, you'll see on the right, you can see now that I can only see the column chart, which is displaying the number of bicycles sold. Okay, so I can no longer see my line chart. All right, now I can filter that down further. So say I wanted to only see the first 6 months. Okay, so from January to June. So I can go back to my filter and I can untick the rest of the months. So I'm just going to untick from July to December. Okay, and then of course, remember to click apply. And there you go. So my chart is now filtered. So it's now only showing me the number of bicycles sold, and only for the first 6 months of that year. Okay, so you can use a filter to filter your chart and to display certain types of information. Okay. All right, so that's it for this video. That's how you can create a combination chart. I hope this video has helped you. If it has, please do like and share the video so that it can reach out to more people. And do consider subscribing so that you don't miss out on any new updates. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.